and stuff you don't. It's the Ben and Bren Show.
Okay, you guys have the little red light.
We got the little red light.
Well, I'm colorblind, so
It's
That's right. I forgot about that.
yeah.
Okay, that's a
We can get into that too.
yeah.
Oh, there we go. Oh, whoa.
two colorblind folks right there sitting on the couch.
There we go.
I've always
That's why
wondered
she
what
loves
that
me.
would See, exactly. Ollie D,
That's me.
the OG.
OG Ollie D in the house.
We've been waiting on this episode,
Dude, I
literally
love it,
since we
bro.
started
I'm glad
this
I'm
podcast.
here.
We started this podcast for you.
I mean, honestly, when we
Where's
started
Ollie?
this,
Hopefully, this doesn't mean that the podcast is over.
Yeah.
no,
This is the final
This is just the first. We're gonna do subsequent
I love
episodes
it.
too.
I love it.
Yeah.
Because I'm so late.
Well, we have a lot. There's a lot that could be
This is like
getting
episode
into.
1.
Yeah, exactly.
Episode 1 of
we got a
like,
whole
yeah.
season.
Good. I love
Yeah.
it. I love it.
Man, well, Ollie, I mean, you are literally one of the original gangsters.
I guess so. I love it.
Upper West Side native.
Upper East Side.
Upper
native.
East Side,
Upper East Side native. New York City.
What street?
Well, between 62nd and 73rd.
Gotcha.
Upper East Side.
Yeah.
Love it. East Coaster all the way.
You've always lived in New York.
Always. Still to this day. 36 years later. No, just joking. 54 years later.
Wow. Can't even believe it. That baby glass skin. I'm just unbelievable.
It's got a nice shine.
Greasy forehead.
Yeah. That's keep it grease.
Receding hairline, though. I look at old photos and I'm like, God, the hairline's really receded.
It's
I mean,
it happens,
but you still
you're-
got a full head of hair.
Yeah.
Still full head of hair. So that's a blessing.
Did your mom have, or your mom? Because I think it's your mom's dad. Did your
That
mom?
I don't know. So I
Okay.
never knew my mom's dad or my mom's mom.
Gotcha.
My dad's dad was like Albert Einstein. So like hair like a madman.
Nice.
But I don't know if any of that is like any of that like true.
I don't know.
Or is it like
probably
folklore?
not? Probably not.
Yeah,
Probably not true.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I think it's all stress.
Yeah.
Probably. Yeah.
I think it's all stress related.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, guys, first of all, I love watching your, show. Like
we do
We're a
greatly
hoot and a
appreciate
half.
it.
Like
Yeah.
no.
We're
Like
we're
I
kind
love
of crazy.
it. I mean, by the way, like I learned things like watching it. Like
That's what my stepdad says. He's like, I'm listening to you guys, and it just makes you think about some other things.
I love it.
different, And
No,
That's great.
I really love it. And by the way, it's like I think I hit you, and I'm like, I want to be on your show. Like I'm like, I want to be on it. I don't think even you asked me to be on it. I'm like, I want to be on.
No,
your show.
I definitely, because when we started to do this, I like made a list of like, okay, these are the people that have to come on, and you're definitely at the top of the list.
I'm glad to be on your show because I wanted to be on your show, and I love it. And I mean, I miss having you be at the spot.
Likewise, man, for
you're
sure.
so talented.
No,
man.
I mean, we'll
You're-
get into this more, but
You're like the bomb.
the
You're so
practice
good.
was and is such that chapter was such a hugely influential and educational and rewarding and just all of the things
Well, you're
part
amazing,
of my
dude.
life.
You're
And,
amazing. You're amazing.
I mean, you guys are.
I
And-
remember coming up to the practice, which I mean, I'll say it from my perspective. You guys can explain it better, but for our listeners, the practice was composition for film, TV, composing, house for everyone, composers and stuff. And I remember Benny had been up in New York for a little while. He had come and picked me out of my long stay in Memphis and was like, "Hey, come start making records with me. You're really good. Let's make music together." And then I came up there and I was like, wow, this is where the sauce is right here. This is cool. And then you come barreling down the hall and I was like, this guy knows what's up.
Oh man,
This is the guy.
It's awesome. I mean, I love music. I love creation. I I don't know anything else. You know, I truly love it. I mean, I love creating. I love being around creatives. I love something, you know, if you think about music, if you think about how we create, it's like something that doesn't exist 5 minutes before we touch a computer, or, you know, back in the days, whatever, 2-inch or an instrument or whatever. There's nothing like it, right? You know, it's not an assembly line. It's not a nut. It's not a bolt. It's not, you know, it's nothing that like you're like building per se. It's nothing physical. It's visceral. It's cerebral. It's poof. It's magical. It's you know, didn't exist.
It's magical.
It's magical.
Magical. I think music and art in general, but I think music even more specifically is the closest thing to magic.
It is, but it's
exists.
the universal language.
Yeah.
You know, it's a universal language. It's something. It's everywhere. It's something that it's the ultimate universal communicative language that everybody can understand. It's vibrations. It's really unbelievable when you think about it. And you know, it's something that I love being around. It's something that I love, whether it's me being around the creation of it, or being around or listening to it, or you know, it's just something I've always loved. You know, as a dancer, I started out as, I was
going to say,
you know, dancing,
break dancer,
and it was just sort of the natural progression to start, you know, being around the creation of it. So, you know, barreling down the hallways of having rooms, you know, creating it was just sort of it
was inevitable.
Yeah.
It's going to happen.
It just happened, you know, and whether it be like, no, I don't like that snare, or the bass line is right or wrong, or a top line is right or wrong, or I don't like that lyric, or that's the right lyric, or whatever it was, that was the right place for me to be at. And
you seem to have that, and I don't know you that well, but based on the little bit that I ever observed of just watching you at the practice or getting to know you through Benny, you seem to have this Rick Rubin quality to you, to know how to pick the right players, to know how to say, just like you just said, like, no, change that. I like that. Nope, that's good. You know, you have that producer mindset, and you can just feel that off of you, you know? Yeah.
It's all feel.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not, you know, I'm not trained in music. Mm-hmm. At least not from the, you know, traditional place of being trained. Mm-hmm. I guess I'm trained through dance, you know, and, you know, coming from dance, from the rhythmic point of view and from a feel place, it's all feel. And I think that from a musician's place, I mean, you know, from musicians I grew up with, I remember, you know, whether it was like Lee, who's, you know, my son, when he was like 3 years old, I bought him like a little toy drum kit. He liked to beat on things, so I bought him a little toy drum kit, and he, you know, used to play around with like drums and played some rhythms. And I remember playing him for Zach, you know, and he was playing some beats, and I was like, Zach, do you think I should put him in some drum lessons? And Zach said, no, you know, he's sort of a natural, and I fear if you put him in drum lessons, he's going to be taught out of what's natural, you know, because he's got a feel, and I don't want him to lose that. And I think he might be taught out of the natural aspect of it. And, you know,
it's a real statement.
I think so.
I mean, that's what I think people that go to music school have, I think, is the most detrimental thing, is sort of whitewashing out an individual perspective, and creativity, and
you know,
assimilating.
It's interesting, you know. I you know, when I was an artist, and I'd be like in like mix sessions, and as an artist, it might have been a record that I was also producing. And if I had like a mix engineer or let's say an engineer that was, doing the recording, and let's say I said to the guy, hey, can you, put a little shuffle or a swing on that 8th note hi-hat that was programmed, and he'd like laugh at me and he'd say, I'm not going to put a swing on the 8th note hi-hat. That doesn't make sense to put a swing on an 8th note hi-hat. And I'm like, yeah, but can you? and you can.
Yeah.
In Performer, which was the program we were using. And he's like, well, yeah, you can. I was like, so do it for me.
Yeah.
I want you to do it. Because I always put a little swing on my 8th note hi-hat. He's like, okay, but it doesn't make sense because technically you can't swing something that's straight. And I'm like, but
Yeah, you can. You just swing it.
correct. And then he did, and he's like, oh, well, that's weird because it does change it a little bit. He's like, but that doesn't make sense. Well, he was taught
Yep.
at the engineering school that you can't do that.
Yep.
But my experience, because I'm not taught, because I played around with it, that it did. So, to your point, he was sort of taught out of the net,
Yeah. I mean, that's
Right.
kind of even on a
And now he works at Chick-fil-A.
right,
No, I'm just kidding.
Right. Well, I did fire him from the session.
that was the last one. Once
Yeah.
you had to say, "Can you just do it?"
Yeah.
that was the
Yeah.
You're fired.
Yeah. Well, so going back to your thing of the feel.
Yeah.
Right. So I always went from a feel thing, and I always tried to instill that in people I worked with, and there were, many people that I've worked with, that I collaborated with, that always sometimes fought back with me about, theory and things like that. And I always, there were some times like where maybe there were relative chords and things like that where I was like, oh, what key is this in? And they would, tell me it was in a certain key. And I was like, no, I think it's in a different key. What's the autotune set in? And they would tell me, I was like, no, but it's not sitting in this key. What's the root note of the bass? And we would get into like an argument. I'm like, yeah, but it's not sitting in this. And they're like, no, but it's this. And I'm like, yeah, but if you can't sing it in this, and and we would get into like this argument and whatever, and and I'm like, yeah, but I get it, but it's not sitting in this. It's we get into this big argument and
Over
I'm like,
theorizing it.
yeah. Right.
Well, it's kind of that thing. It's like, particularly when you're younger, it's like you learn the tricks, you learn the trade,
Right.
and then you try to forget
Right.
all of it.
Right.
Like just let
Right.
it go
Right.
and go
Right.
off of what. Because it's all subjective. One,
It's all
like,
subjective.
art is
It
like
is.
there's
It is.
no rules.
There's no rules.
Absolutely no rules.
There's no rules.
and it's just what feels right. It's all feeling.
100%. And I think that, at the end of the day, when you look at, what's played and what becomes popular, with the masses, look, if you're doing it for yourself, that's one thing. And if you're doing it for the masses, that's another thing.
Yeah.
If you're doing it for a career and you're trying to make a career out of it and you're trying to sell things to millions of people as humans, I think that there are vibrations that millions of people feel. That's one thing. If you're doing it for yourself, locked in a room, and you're a mad scientist, that's one thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
But if you're doing it for the commonality of millions of people,
Yeah.
that's a different story.
Yeah, you got to take yourself out of it.
Yes.
Like you got to tap into that stream
Yes.
of which we're all swimming in.
Yeah, that there's a vibration
Yeah.
that we all
It's
feel.
just that universal.
Correct.
It's like when you're on a more micro scale, when you're in a session and you're like trying to find the idea and everybody's beating around it, and then when it happens, everybody can feel it.
Correct.
It's like you just like everybody's like,
Correct.
what was that?
Correct.
It's like
and you wonder why.
Yeah.
You wonder why.
It's the magic.
It's the magic, and it's the universe.
The feel. Yeah.
It's the feel.
Yeah.
Yes.
Our last podcast, we were talking about Benny's experience with Hamilton and
Yep.
Alex Lacamoire sort of picking him out
Yep.
of what could have been a long line of other Broadway people who have been
Totally.
in the fold already. But for some reason, he had that intuition with Benny. Like, he's going to, not only is he a young kid, he's going to be hungry to just do what he says. But then, there's something very organic about Benny's talent and intuition. What was that for you when you saw Benny? Like, describe how you guys met and what your feeling was on that.
I'll tell you. So we have a mutual friend. I was looking for, a new writer, new producer, new, music maker. And I got sent, a bunch of his songs.
This was like almost 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Which is insane.
Yeah, it's insane. I remember playing them, and right away, to your point, the intuition, the feel, he had it. He knew what needed to go where. He's got it. He had the feel, knew what sounds needed to go where, knew what things needed to be placed where they needed to be placed. He's got it. He had the feel. He's a great producer.
I'm blushing.
He's got he's got the
It
producer.
means so much.
No, it's,
Especially from you.
But it's true. I knew it in the first 4 bars.
Right.
Literally. By the way, you know it in the first 4 bars.
Yeah.
You know it in the first 2 bars.
Yeah. Yeah.
You do. It's a feel. You do. You know it right away, and I knew it right away. I remember I called our mutual friend, and I was like, "This guy's got it," and he
That
does.
came up, and you guys were just moving in to the current studio up
55th.
on 55th.
which we're still there.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, that's the spot.
It's almost 10
And
years.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
It
You're
is
still
truly
at the
crazy.
practice.
We
You
are.
still have that.
practices.
going on.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, 923rd
Iconic.
Avenue. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Okay, so let's rewind a little bit.
Yeah.
So grew up on the Upper East Side.
Yep.
Mom,
Choreographer.
artist,
Yep.
choreographer,
Dancer.
original West Side Story.
Original Anybody's in West Side Story on Broadway.
Wow.
Legendary.
Yep.
And then a father.
Yep.
I don't know if I'm allowed to say this.
Yes,
Literally
you are.
like the actual real life James
Q.
Bond.
Yeah,
Or Q
real
of
life
James
Q.
Bond.
Yep, and James Bond because he went in the field.
Crazy.
Wow.
So he was,
we need a full segment on
Yeah,
that.
that's like a full
Yeah.
episode.
Yeah, it's
in and of
crazy.
itself. Yeah.
Had his office in the Garment District in Manhattan on 37th Street. That was like wild.
Was he from New York?
He was from New York too. And what's crazy is that he was a guitar player growing up. He was in the original Peter Pan with Mary Martin as one of the Lost Boys.
Wild.
He played Nibs.
on Broadway.
On Broadway.
and then it was filmed,
And- yeah, it was filmed. He was on the I believe he was he on the Ed Sullivan Show also? I think he was.
I watched that. They filmed that production.
Yes. He's on that.
for like PBS or whatever.
Yes, he's on
I
that.
had it on tape. I wore
Yes.
the tape out.
He's
as a
on
kid.
that.
I've seen I grew up with your dad.
So he's on
Wow.
that.
That's
Yeah, so he played Nibs.
Unbelievable. I
he's
loved
wild.
watching that
So
as a
he's-
kid. I
he's-
would make my mom play it over and
So
over.
he's one of the Lost Boys.
Oh my god.
That's wild.
And he was also a artist. So he became what he became not because he was a trained engineer or a designer, but he was an artist first and foremost.
like painter, like
Painter.
visual artist.
And very inventive. And basically, they felt he had the creative know-how to develop these exotic weapons and
Like some James Bond.
yes,
Shit.
Like click a pin, it
Yep.
explodes or
Yep.
whatever.
Yep.
Yeah.
That
Exploding
is
light
so
bulbs and-
crazy.
Zippo.
Would he make these for like
Yes.
U.S. intelligence
Yes.
agencies?
Yes. Wild. And then he would go in the field to make sure they worked.
That is so crazy.
I just, God, that's so cool.
That really is. That it doesn't get much cooler.
Did he ever get to disclose like what he was working on with you? Did you know these things at the time?
So growing up, I thought he was like a cop.
Yeah,
Interesting.
You know, because like
easy enough to cover that up. Whatever.
Yeah. We would go to like a restaurant.
Yeah.
And he would like take his blazer off, and there's like a 9mm and
Yeah.
a 9mm on his waist, and
Sure.
a 38 on his. He always carried 3 guns.
Oh,
3 guns all at one time.
Oh, always.
Crazy. That's
That's
wild.
And like we're sitting at like a restaurant on
what
like,
a badass dad.
on like
I mean,
Madison
truly, that
Avenue,
is,
and like it's like all out.
hardcore.
Yeah.
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 Like,
you got to flex on him.
Oh,
yeah.
don't
Never.
with us.
Trouble was of no concern.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely not. And we would go to the airport. We wouldn't even go through the metal detectors.
Yeah.
Really?
He'd flash whatever he flashed, and we'd go like right around.
Yeah.
Pays to know somebody.
Yeah.
Oh,
Pays to have a dad.
oh yeah. I mean, it was like
Roped in dad.
it was pretty insane.
That's wild. So, did your mom and dad meet from the Broadway arts community, or
They met at a jazz club.
which club?
I don't know which club it was, but my dad, I think, was like playing like guitar.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Wild.
Yeah.
What
So-
a fucking renaissance,
so-
man. Makes
yeah, that's-
weapons of war
No,
and
it was
plays
crazy.
jazz guitar.
It was crazy. So
That
he,
is so
he
sick.
also played, I think, on the B side of The Wanderer.
Wild.
Yeah. When he
That's
was like 16.
legendary.
Yeah.
That's
That
unbelievable.
truly is wild.
Okay, do you know, is there a certain, like you said, exploding light bulbs, like what is there, give me some other examples of some, did he ever show you these later on, or like,
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like poisonous toothpaste, like in toothpaste. He had a the Zippo
the lighter.
the lighter that he was-
Flamethrower?
He actually had he was very funny too. He was very sarcastic. He called it the Zappo
Yeah,
because it was a 22 caliber
stun gun or
Or
whatever.
his
Pistol.
pistol.
Oh, pistol. Yeah,
that shot a 22 caliber.
just a tiny Zippo size that could.
It was a
shoot
Zippo. It was
Did it was it silenced or did it have like a proper
It was silenced and worked,
That is so crazy.
but it shot a thing. He had a clipboard that fired 16 22 rounds.
Did he have a team that he worked with to develop these, or was he all just like on his own?
Pretty small team.
Okay.
But it was disguised as a holster company.
Okay.
So he designed holsters also, concealment, for like basically concealment holsters.
Yeah.
Very high end leather concealment holsters.
Yeah.
That so during the day you would go buy these very expensive concealment holsters, and then in the back of the holster company, you see this like super duper like heavy steel door that says like "Do not enter," and behind
That walls, grenades are going off.
yeah.
How did he get into this? Like, how did he have the brain, to?
So the way the story goes is basically he's like 19 years old, fresh out of high school. He gets a call. The call is like, "Hey, we have a mutual friend that tells me you're looking for work. Will you come for an interview?" He goes down to Virginia for an interview. He literally thinks it's for like the postal office. He goes for an interview. The interview goes very well. He doesn't really know what it's for. He goes back to the city. He's waiting for a call back. He gets a call back a year later. He goes back down. He gets taken out to a farm. He goes out to a shed. He's never fired a firearm. there's a dog which is dying from hip dysplasia in the shed. He gets handed a .45 caliber pistol in the shed, and they say, put the dog out of its misery. And he shoots the dog. And that's when they realize
That's the first test.
he's got the tenacity to
New York boy going to do some country boy shit.
to do it. And by the way, I remember years later when my dad was sick with multiple sclerosis, I asked him, I said, do you ever have any, regrets or nightmares about the stuff that you used to do? And he said, the only nightmare I have is the dog.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, dogs are better than people generally.
Well, he said because it was innocent.
Yeah, but also
Well, I'm glad that
if it did
was
have
truly suffering.
was in pain. I mean,
I mean, the dog was in pain
Yeah.
and suffering.
Yeah.
But it was also innocent.
Yeah.
It wasn't
and so
guilty of anything.
yeah, totally.
Yeah.
That's so.
But I still don't understand how someone spotted him or picked him out.
It was somebody that had
a mutual friend was connected and
Yes.
knew your dad was
Correct.
gifted in a way that could help.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. So it turned out, because I did ask him, and it was a friend of his mom's.
Gotcha.
That was in Texas. It was a Texas friend, Texas Oil, which is very connected to the government.
Is this a special interest group of the government, or is it CIA related, FBI related, or can you even disclose that?
So yeah, so I from what I deduce from it, so the CIA was, I think back then in the 60s, was probably was not really like that important back then. I believe it was the NSA.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
So the NSA, I think in the 60s, was like the CIA became.
Yeah.
So the NSA, you never heard about the NSA back in the 60s. The NSA was like the
CIA was the cover up of the NSA.
The CIA was like the Target, was like the Kmart.
Yeah.
The NSA was like the
Yeah.
Nobody needs to know about this.
Yeah.
right.
That's
So I believe it was the NSA.
Wow. And how long was he in service with the?
So
with
basically,
this entity?
his whole thing imploded with the church committee. So he was subpoenaed by the church committee.
I don't even know what that is.
So Senator Church formed the church committee, which, there was a big thing on the I don't know if it was 60 Minutes, or they had a big special last year where they re-aired all the church committee things on television.
Was a Senator Church in New York, of New York?
Was it New York or?
I'm not sure.
I think it was maybe DC.
DC, okay. Yeah.
And where they were investigating the CIA-sponsored assassinations. It was like 71 or 72, because there was a whistleblower about all the, black ops and all that stuff, where they were offing everybody and didn't have oversight. And so there was a whistleblower who basically, put my dad's name in the hat and said that he was designing assassination devices for the government. So my dad was subpoenaed by the church committee, and everybody that was being subpoenaed like that for the church committee was ending up dead. So my dad basically went into hiding for a couple weeks. Wow. Went to his friends who were like head of Channel 5 News and everybody else, and said, look, I've been subpoenaed. If anything happens to me, here's like all my contracts and everything.
Wow.
And he went to one of his government friends who knew a bunch of the senators on the committee, negotiated a closed door testimony for my dad, met my dad at the Senate to, appear. My dad appeared, and basically told them nothing without perjuring himself, and it all worked out. But he had to kind of close up shop.
Because they were like, gotcha. Yeah. We know you're doing this, but he didn't admit to it, but they were like, cut it out.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
The testimony was something like, Mr. Theodore, what agency do you work for? Sorry, Senator, I can't give you that information. Mr. Theodore, we're going to ask you again, what agency do you work for?
Yeah.
Sorry, Senator, I can't give you that information. Mr. Theodore, we have the highest level of clearance. Don't you think we're going to find out what agency you work for? Sorry, Senator, I can't give you that information.
Find it out.
Right.
Good luck.
That is what a life.
That is wild. And I noticed you said your father had multiple sclerosis. Is your father still around?
No, he passed away in 2006.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
What a life.
And by the way, passed away, destitute,
yeah.
completely broke.
Okay.
No insurance, Medicaid,
Yeah.
So is he was pretty off the grid, or?
off the grid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Completely off the grid. By the way, when he was working for them, was making,
Military contracting.
a lot of money.
Yeah.
Some what's that movie with Jonah Hill? More
Yeah.
dogs. More dogs.
Yeah.
And by the way, when he couldn't work for them anymore, you're like done.
Yeah.
And that's how the government protects itself, though.
Yeah.
Because if you asked my dad who he worked for, even if he wanted to tell you who he worked for, he couldn't tell you who he worked for.
Yeah.
Like he didn't know.
He had no idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. He had a guy telling him what to do, and that guy was connected to something that he didn't know.
But he actually had no idea
Yeah.
who their names were.
yeah.
Interesting.
Did he know that it was government?
He knew it was government.
Yeah.
But the agency changed its name every week.
Uh-huh.
Phone numbers changed every week.
Yeah.
The names were not the names.
Saw the U.S. government as just a fucking LLC.
It's
limited liability?
everything's cash.
Yeah.
Even my dad's operative name, which is hilarious. So his operative name was Thistledew.
Okay.
Amazing.
And that his operative name, which is hilarious, came about. So he met his point of contact, and his point of contact said, you got to have an operative name.
Yeah.
And so my dad said, okay, what do you think it should be? And the guy wrote two names down on a piece of paper and passed it to him on the piece of paper. And my dad said, this will do.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he pointed to one. And the guy thought he said Thistledew.
Yeah.
And he said, that's great.
That's awesome.
So my dad's operative name became Thistledew.
That's awesome.
But he never said
so
Thistledew.
sick.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. That is literally legendary.
Yeah.
That is amazing.
Yeah. Gosh. Yeah.
Wow.
Man,
Yeah.
what a crazy story.
Yeah. That's top.
He said
That's
this
top
will
tier.
do.
That is, you should, that's
Careful of your foot there. It might be rocking that camera a little bit.
sorry.
No, you're good.
You should get the rights, somebody to write that film.
James Bond.
They've
exists.
already done it. Yeah.
We're it will get done.
Yeah.
There's so I it's going to get done. I've done some filming with some people who are still alive. We've done some interviews with some people that are still
a
alive.
documentary. Yeah.
Just so that I've got these
Yep.
interviews like in the can, well shot.
Awesome.
That's amazing.
And these are people that are like resume solid. Like no weirdos. People like
people that know.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Where like you verifiable like wiki right like on point serious people. It's a pretty amazing story. And my dad was a hyper intelligent person. And it's pretty amazing because there's stuff he's told me when I was like, 10, 12 years old, and things that I have told other people like for decades that are like just coming out now about certain like little things. And people who I've known for decades, they're like, oh my God, like you told me that 30 years ago.
Wow.
Can you share that information?
Like little things about like, water on Mars.
Oh, okay.
Stuff like that. Things like that. Because my dad was privy to classified information that the government has known forever.
Yeah.
UFO stuff.
Right.
UFO stuff.
And
I was going to ask. I was like, where are the aliens? What does he know?
They are underground
Yeah.
on Mars. And there is life on Mars, and it's underground.
Cue up David Bowie.
Yeah,
That's wild.
yeah,
That is crazy.
and that will come out, and in
You heard it here first.
yeah,
I mean,
Ben and Bren Show.
legitimately.
well, but
I don't know. Alex Jones has probably said it
but
too.
but but,
Yeah,
but,
may
but
not be
by
the
the way, by the way, think about it.
yeah.
When life does get too harsh on a planet
Yeah.
or anywhere,
Right.
you where do you go?
Yeah.
You go underground. You build a bunker, and you go underground. That's where they are. Whatever it is,
Whatever they are.
and by the way, we know that they're there already. Yeah. So it's not like we don't know that they're there.
Who was the first? Who figured that out? Does NASA know that? Did NASA know that?
100%.
Yeah. NASA knows all this, and then I guess the point is to protect us all, our brains, and trickle this information out over the decades. Right?
Well, it's been very calculated. They think that we can't handle it.
Yeah.
And they think that we're gonna freak out. It's Armageddon or whatever whatever it is. And obviously, I mean, you've seen the all the video now that's coming out and all the testimony.
Yeah.
Otherworldly, 21 things we can't explain. It's not from this planet.
Well, there's a lot of docs now that are like undeclassified FBI stuff.
Yeah.
And then I'm fascinated by the Mars rovers. I've watched all of the documentaries on those.
Totally.
And they're just floating around, just driving around.
The pyramids on Mars. And
Yeah.
they're like, oh, that was created by wind, and they're perfect, you
are blowing my dick off right now.
Yes.
That is just insane.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I have so many questions.
I know. That's why
What the things that are on Mars, how did we come to tell me more about that? Can they make it
we
here?
need to. There's a lot to cover in a limited amount of time.
I know.
How much time do we have left?
I know. No. We're gonna have so many more episodes.
Yeah, for sure.
We're gonna have to figure out how to zoom them in.
Yeah.
We have that technology.
That does exist out there.
Yeah,
Well, we're gonna do that, but I'm out here once a month, so
Great.
So we're gonna do more.
recurring spot.
So
Put a
we're
pin
gonna,
in that.
so we're gonna do more.
Oh my God.
Okay.
My brain's gonna
We
explode.
could go way down that, but we'll save that. But
What fun projects are you working on right now?
Alana and I
Amazing.
are working on some fun stuff.
Sick.
We're working on a Barbie, or she's doing a lot of
Sick.
music, and she's brought me on for
Sick.
a couple of the songs,
Sick.
and we did this theme song for this show that'll come out.
Sick.
That's not out yet, but and then we've got the label that we're putting a lot of music out on,
Sick.
and there's
That's
all
so much
sorts of
fun.
stuff. And the
Working on a new
podcast,
record for
and-
me.
Yeah, new record
Yay.
for Brennan. And yeah, just some various sync things and you know,
Sick.
the usual stuff.
That's so sick.
But I wanted to talk. Well, there's two things I want to talk about. That were
Skincare.
Yes, skincare. You grew up you and hip hop grew up together.
Yes.
Like you were there at the birth of hip hop in New York City.
Yep.
And I mean, and it started as a breakdancing culture
Yes.
in the parks. And
Yes.
that's what,
Yes.
I mean, the famous tidbits out there, like from Rick Rubin, where
Yep.
he's like, I wanted to make records because the records they were making that were hip hop weren't what you were experiencing out
Yes.
in the world, and
Yes.
wanted to capture that
Yep.
on record and
Yep.
things. What was that experience like? I mean, just how was it all just happening? I mean, it's a broad question, but
I mean, first of all, it was unbelievable. It was so much fun, and you know, it was so much fun. It was so exciting. It was like imagine the adrenaline that you get before a fight, but it's not violent. It's a dance. You know?
yeah,
It's that kind of.
it's visceral.
It's yes.
I mean, it was the last like real revolution
Yes.
in America.
Yes.
Like it was the
Yes,
last real.
but it's not violent.
Yeah.
It's not violent. It's
Yeah.
not. It's a party.
Yeah.
And it's funny because for me, that's actually the spirit of hip hop.
Yeah.
The spirit of hip hop for me, that's what I know hip hop to be. I know hip hop to be a party. It's a house party. It's dance. It's celebratory. You know, it's not violent. It's not, you know, gangsta. You know, that side of it.
Yeah.
It's sure it's posting up and, you know, b-boy and stuff like that, but it's party.
Yeah.
You know, it's flexing.
Yeah.
But it's about your moves.
Yeah.
And it's not about, you know, the stuff that's kind of going on now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it evolved into a different thing. It
Yes,
seems like,
yes.
like hip hop, even hip hop today compared to 15 years ago.
100%.
It's really gone through a lot of different forms.
Totally.
Who were some of the like OG characters that like you were in the mix with?
You know, I mean, UTFO.
Crazy.
You know, God, I mean, you know, Curtis Blow,
Run DMC, right?
Run DMC, you know, Cool G Rap, Big Daddy Kane.
Crazy. The Godfathers.
Yeah.
Which one now?
Yeah, I mean, you know.
I was reading Sam Hollander's book. I mean, I texted you this
Yes.
at the time.
Yeah.
And you popped up in the book. I was like,
He's-
holy fucking shit.
I love Sam. I mean, you know, listen, I feel extremely blessed. You know, I consider myself to be, you know, one of the folks who happened to survive for, you know, 36 years in this business. That's kind of been in every room during every sort of major occurrence that nobody knew was in the room. You know what I mean? Like,
Taken after your dad.
yeah, I guess
Covert agent.
Like I was like the ghost in the room.
Yeah,
that
yeah,
nobody
yeah.
knew was in the room. You know, like every major player was in the room, and then I was just sort of like there in the corner.
That's
You
wild.
know,
That's
that nobody
awesome.
knew was there. And I'm blessed to have been there because I learned so much by it. And you know, I guess it was an advantage to not be the major player in it because I didn't get burnt.
Yeah.
You know, so
well, that's what you hear a lot of people's like reputable people say. The worst thing that can happen to you is your first thing being a hit.
Right.
That's like the worst thing because you'll never have that same sort of fix.
And you know what? I don't have regrets. So I think about that a lot. I think about like what if my record as an artist was a hit? I think maybe I'd be dead.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because I was so young and dumb. You know,
that would have been me.
I mean, yeah.
I lived hard and fast.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
I mean, Lord knows what would have happened.
Yeah.
You know, like I'd probably be dead.
Yeah.
You know, and I want to say something about the skincare.
Yeah. Let's go.
You know, so probably about 9 months ago, I woke up one morning and I said to myself that I was going to change my mental routine. And my mental routine was I'm going to start living and I'm going to eliminate something out of my life. And what that was expectations. And it was for my own self-preservation. And it originally started with basically I didn't want to be disappointed anymore because I feel so hard. And it really started originally with the people I care about, my friends, because I'd been hurt so much by the people I care about.
Right.
So much. My friends, whether it be lawsuits or whatever over the years.
Sure.
And so I said, I'm gonna not have expectations anymore. And then as I started to think about it that morning, I said, I'm going to apply it to everything. I'm going to apply it to my deals. I'm going to apply it to my family. I'm going to apply it to everything. I'm going to just have no expectations about anything anymore because any expectations, all you can have is disappointment.
I'm reading this book right now called Homo Deus, and they literally say this exact thing.
Crazy.
That happiness isn't deduced from happiness is literally chemical.
Right.
Like it's like losing or getting something in life, whatever, those aren't things that's not what makes you happy.
Right.
Like it's a literal chemical balance.
Right.
But he was saying that expectation is the root of all unpleasant feelings.
Yes.
It's what triggers
Yes.
because that expecting one result and that result not happening is what triggers unpleasant feelings.
100%.
And yeah, I mean, I've in my own journey in the last year to two have gone through a really big development personally. I quit smoking weed, which I was smoking weed every day for years. Like a really and there were just various things in life that happened that almost were just like, hey, you gotta figure yourself out. Like shit's off. Like you gotta like dial it in.
I get it.
And that was a big lesson I took was like having various expectations and those not being met really, especially like for like creatives that feel intensely is really a powerful thing to deal with. And you say self-preservation, I mean, that's what it comes down to. It's like if you you just can't continue living life feeling such unpleasant feelings.
I can tell you with 110% assurity that I've never been happier since I've done this.
That's awesome.
And I got to be honest with you. People have been saying to me, "What are you doing? Are you lasering your face? You've never looked better. You look so happy. What are you doing?" And I go, I've eliminated expectations. And they're like, "What are you talking about?" And I'm like, I've eliminated expectations.
Yeah.
And like literally the other day, I'm checking the mail, and my 18-year-old gets a speeding ticket, and my wife is like, you got to get mad at him and tell him that, his car, we're going to take it away for recreational if he gets another ticket. I'm like, why? It's $50. He was going 31 and a 25, 6 miles an hour. It was a mistake.
Right.
It's no problem. He's going to pay it anyway, and it's not even a ticket on the thing. She goes, yeah, but you should get mad. I'm like, I don't get mad anymore. And I'm like, and he's busting his butt working at Volvo. It makes him happy to drive the car. I'm like, no. And she's like, well, that's just weird. And I'm like, I don't get mad anymore. I'm like, and I don't.
Yeah.
I don't get mad anymore because
it's generally just not worth it.
It's I got to tell you something. And I'm not trying to be preachy at all, because to each his own. Like, if you and I are great friends and we're rolling around the country together, and so I love having dinners. That's like my thing, right? I'm a restaurant whore. Everybody knows it.
Good sushi.
Yeah, I'm also a brand whore. So like when I travel or like I go around, I like bringing friends. Like it's like my thing. And if the next day, or if I'm going shopping and you're with me, and I'm going shopping and you're like, oh, I love that shirt, I might buy you that shirt. And if the next day you're like, hey, Ali, I fucking hate you. A year ago, I might be like, you know what? He's a fucking dick.
Yeah.
Like, why did I buy him that fucking shirt yesterday?
Uh-huh.
Now I'm like, you know what? It's all good. I hope he fucking loves the shirt, and I hope he has a great life.
See you later.
Yeah.
But by the way, that's who I am, and I love who I am. And I love buying him the shirt. I have no expectations.
Yep.
Amen to that.
No, I'm
no
serious.
expectations.
Well, I would just like to say that I'm a sweet little boy, and I'll always be a sweet little boy. So if you want to take me shopping anytime,
No, but by the way, and I would love to. I would love to buy you a shirt.
I'm also not a brand whore. I'm just satisfied with a $30 shirt.
Brennan's
a
a chic whore.
Yeah. I'm a what?
A chic whore.
A chic whore. Yeah.
Yeah. Doesn't matter about the brand. It's got to look good.
Just got yeah.
It's got to be chic.
I love that.
I could find you one in the UAE. I could find you a chic.
Oh yeah, that too. That kind of chic. Yeah. Yeah, I would love to find some boys in the UAE. They're very pretty over there.
But you know what happens also when you lose expectations, which is kind of crazy. You live in the moment, right? And so when you live in the moment, it's really unique, because right now I'm not thinking about who's emailing me, who's texting me. I'm really not.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll check it after. I'm and you know me, I'm always checking my phone. I mean, you know me.
Got the inbox rolling.
But I haven't looked once. I'm not even like I haven't even looked at it. I'm not worried about it.
Yeah, it'll be there.
And it's there, and people can wait. It's all good. It's an amazing release of feeling when you live at the moment and you don't think about what's happening or what's in the past.
That's what they say is one, stress is caused from either thinking about the future or the past, either both of which you don't have control. The only control you have over it is the present moment.
That's right. And Benny, I hate to say this, and again, So I dropped out of high school. So I don't consider myself to be like a what do you call it? Like a an educated. I mean, I'm smart, but you know what I mean. Like I'm not
scholastic.
I'm not scholastic. Okay, good. That's good. I'm not scholastic. But I by the way, I hate reading. Like the only book I've read, and maybe it was even the Cliff Notes, is like Charlotte's Web.
That makes me feel better about my reading. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
I hate reading.
Yeah.
I have severe ADD.
I listen to audiobooks. That's kind of the only way I can
You know
do
what?
it.
That's probably what I would do if
Yeah.
I were to read.
Yeah.
Is listen to audiobooks. But like, it's funny. I love hearing this because when I woke up and this happened, I love having like the affirmation that this is like a thing.
100%.
Because I love it.
Yeah.
Because I'm living it.
Yeah. You feel the rewards from it.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
No. And so when I talk to people about it, they look at me like I'm nuts. They're like, how can you not have expectations?
Woo woo.
They're like, don't you have goals? I'm like, oh no, I still have goals.
Yeah.
I just don't have expectations of those goals. Like if they happen, great.
Yeah.
If they don't, whatever.
Yeah.
This is very validating because, like, a lot of us, including me, were very unsatisfied and very horrified with the election. And up until, like, for years, I've been a politics junkie and, like, listening to all of this bullshit every day and just, like, look at what this person did. Look at what this person said. I've 100% eliminated it completely since that day, since 2 Tuesdays ago. And I am so much happier.
Oh, well, that makes, you know what? By the way, good for you. Because you know what? I got to tell you something. There also comes a time where, for me, I think that this country, unfortunately, has also lost sight of it's okay for everybody to say to each other, it's okay for us to stay friends and say we agree to disagree.
Right.
We've all lost sight of that most important like moment. Like it's okay for us to still be able to eat dinner.
Yeah.
And say we can still be friends.
Yeah.
And agree to disagree.
Right.
We can still be friends.
Right.
We can still respect each other.
Yeah.
And disagree. It's okay.
I
respect you.
Yeah, I started seeing red the other day, and I was just like, oh, I got to get out of this.
I get it. You know what? Look, in 2 years, the House and Senate will flip back again.
Yeah.
And
it'll be whatever.
Yeah.
It just feels like, I have to keep reminding myself, too. It's like, this is the best time historically for Homo sapiens to be alive in terms of what we have to offer ourselves and security.
Yeah.
But it also feels like the worst time alive because of what I fed my brain, for years of this.
I think you have to
chaos.
look at it. I think you have to look at it like this. It's really interesting. As I've gotten older, what I've appreciated and started to like is that my circle has gotten smaller.
Mm-hmm.
And
Same.
also what I've started to like is I've started to like to focus more on the things that I can control and not worry about the things I can't control.
Yep.
And I started
Which is so much.
Yes.
It's so much.
And I started to realize that like politics and the government, dude, do we actually live in a democratically free society? I mean, I'm not trying to be political at all on this show.
It's all
bullshit.
It's all bullshit. Like
it's all bullshit.
Let's
call it for what it is.
You do if you have a incomprehensible amount of money, but if not that, and maybe if it's even arguable, then
I think it might be arguable even then.
Yeah. But it's like, we're all. I mean, half of what we make is taken away from us.
Listen, it's so funny. After the election, and having, doing business like in the UAE, right?
Yeah.
Where, by the way, there's so many falsehoods spoken about the UAE also until you go there. And before I went there, I heard so many falsehoods about the UAE. Better be careful. Don't end up in an orange suit. if you're gay, you better watch out if you go there.
That's all. I've always heard that.
Yeah. But by the way, I went there a month ago with my gay friend.
Yeah.
And I told him, I said, you can be exactly who you are. Don't worry about it. And he had the best time of his life.
Cool.
We went to an underground gay bar.
Cool.
It was like amazing.
Yeah.
He had a blast. Like literally, he's
Nice.
like, I can't wait to go back. But like, I literally said to my friend, I was like, after the election, I was like, monarchy doesn't sound so bad right now, right? I think that we just have to care about our family and our friends.
120%.
And
the people in your immediate life.
Yes.
That is the only change you can
Yes.
influence.
That's it.
Is especially under your own roof of your home.
That's it.
Like your friends are a close second, but
That's
it's
it.
like
That's it.
that's where macro change happens.
Yes.
Too.
That's it.
Is via that.
That's
path.
it. True. That's it.
True.
That's it.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys have been to, New York lately, but like, New York has, changed in, the last, certainly since COVID. But in the last year, I've seen the city really just wow. I mean, it is declined so far.
In what way of your observation?
Well, I got to tell you, I mean, so I'm born and raised there.
Yeah.
I was on 57th and 3rd the other day, 10 p.m. outside of Duane Reade on the sidewalk on the phone, not paying attention because normally you don't really have to pay attention. And most of the time I do pay attention. There was a cyclist on the sidewalk, riding on the sidewalk, hauled up, smacked me dead in the face.
Oh my God.
Holy shit.
Don't ride your bike on the sidewalk, idiots.
But smacked me dead in the... I'm not talking about like accidentally smacked me in the face.
Like sought it out.
Oh no, like
Lucky you didn't have it. Lucky you didn't have a 38 on your ankle.
It was a drive-by smacking?
drive-by smacking. And I chased him 2 blocks.
I would lose
I didn't catch
goddamn
him,
mind.
but I chased him 2 blocks.
That's
I'm talking about like smack me,
sucker smack you.
and it took about 5 seconds for me to be like,
Wait,
what the fuck just happened?
Oh my God.
That's crazy.
I am filled with so much rage about things like that happening to me that I'm concerned that I will kill someone.
I mean, out
Don't smack
here-
Brennan and
Yeah.
anybody.
No. I mean, out here, I want to say yesterday or the day before yesterday, a friend of mine, who I won't name, but a very prominent executive producer of a very big talent TV show called The Voice, who lives in a great neighborhood out here. There was a double murder in his neighborhood.
Crazy.
Like gun
Yeah.
murder.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like, it probably doesn't happen more, but it's like they're target neighborhoods. Like it's like,
Here.
yeah, exactly. It's like, this is where the money is.
Like in a car and on a city bike.
Wow.
Yeah. That's crazy.
You know.
Things are wild out there for sure.
It's getting hectic.
Yeah.
And I don't know why. I mean, by the way, it's not because of the president.
Yeah. No, it's
a huge, long conversation that we could get into for hours. I mean, income inequality, people not having what they need. I mean,
there's
lots
a
of shit.
lot of
Yeah.
factors at play.
Fucked.
I went to, I don't know if I said this on the last podcast. I don't care. I went to CVS the other day and by the way, had to ask for everything to be unlocked multiple times in the fucking...
Well, that's a whole nother thing. By the way, why are we even paying for things at CVS when you see somebody right next to you grab shit and walk out?
And walk out.
And why are you paying for it?
Yeah.
I paid I think I already said this, but I'm going to say it to you just because I face wash, a big thing of face wash and big thing of moisturizer, which will go a long way. A toothbrush and 2 sticks of deodorant. $75.
No,
yeah,
it's
yeah,
insane.
yeah. No, it's out of control.
Insane.
It's out of control. It's out of control. Yeah, no, shit's all sort of fucked up.
I could not believe it.
Insane.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then like literally the guy next to you or the girl next to you
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
grabbing razors,
Yep.
this, that, and literally shoving it in their bag.
Yep.
The security guard sees them. They're
Does
walking
nothing.
out
Yeah.
with $100 worth of shit, and nobody's doing shit.
Yeah.
And you're like, wait, why am I
Yeah.
standing online
true.
for 10 minutes
Yeah.
and paying for it when they just walked out? I'm literally like, I'm just gonna fucking walk out.
Yeah.
If
Straight
nobody's
up.
gonna do shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I almost like don't. I mean, I do because just for the sake
No.
of quick and
I'm
convenience.
I'm not going to.
Yeah.
But
I'm,
like,
We're
I'm
not
like,
advocating shoplifting.
but no, the
Yeah.
sake of like buying things in person and ordering online.
Yeah.
like it's like half the time the fucking place doesn't even have the shit that you want to get
Yeah.
in
Right.
person.
Right.
And
I hate to-
this factor that it's talking about too.
I hate to feed the beast, but Amazon delivers.
Yeah, I mean,
I
it's,
love
It's
Amazon.
the age we're in. It's like, what do you want me to do? Like,
I ordered a
fucking-
keyboard stand yesterday while I was here with you, and it came at 8 p.m. That's
It was
unbelievable.
there by the time you got home.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Oh, I love the same day Amazon
God!
orders.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
know.
Yeah.
I love that when it says order now with it and it's got the time.
I
the
know.
clicking.
Yeah.
And
Also
I didn't
magic.
even need it.
Yeah, I love
I
that.
did not for one bit need it yesterday. But I was just like, yeah, sure. Bring me my shit now, I guess.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah.
So your new album's coming out soon.
Well,
It's in the
soon-ish.
in
It's
works. It'll be out early
We have
next-
a lot of great songs that are ready to go. Some that are still in the demo phase, but like, I got to a point where lately I've kind of had a little sparks going, and I'm like, ooh,
Oh, I love
let's
that.
just see what else comes out.
I love that. I love it.
Got some sessions coming up with some people that
Sick.
I'm excited about, and so yeah, sometime next year we'll start trickling stuff out.
I love
yeah,
that.
yeah.
That's sick.
Yeah.
What about yourself? What should everybody know about in Ollie D's world?
I'm working on a song for a Netflix film right now, which is
Nice.
exciting. WWE stuff,
Cool.
which is great.
Yeah.
That's
That's
ticking
huge.
along. UFC stuff,
Amazing.
ticking
Nice.
along. Because of the merger.
Yeah.
So that's great.
Can we talk about the
Dubai stuff.
Let's use this as an intro episode for that.
For the next
okay
episode.
Yeah,
for the next
yeah,
time?
yeah.
Maybe next month when you're here.
Yeah.
So, yes. So the UAE stuff is amazing. So essentially, we are creating the first PRO CMO in the Middle East.
For our listeners, performance rights organization.
Yep. Performing rights.
Collecting
and-
royalties for artists.
Correct.
Songwriters getting paid.
Correct. And it's going to be great because you both and everyone else here
Yep.
and throughout the world and the Middle East will start seeing a royalty
Yep.
for songs that you have played on Netflix,
Right.
Hulu.
Because right
Spotify.
now there's no performing rights
no you
collection.
you are
in-
not getting paid.
But
Wow.
it's being used. is
Yes.
Yeah.
Right now, your songs are being played there right now,
Mm-hmm.
whether it be on TV shows or DSPs,
And why does ASCAP and BMI and CSAC not collect over there?
because
It's in progress right now.
because it's
This
not
is your
it's
deal.
not enforced.
Yeah. Okay.
So, like the Four Seasons is playing Taylor Swift right now,
Wow.
and nobody's
paying
getting
for
paid
it.
because nobody is collecting.
It's Wild West.
It's Wild Wild West,
Yeah.
and
Wild
it's
East, I guess.
it's unbelievable because for a sophisticated country, you're like, what?
Yeah.
But they're only 52 years old,
yeah.
and they don't have the infrastructure,
Yep.
so
Building it.
they don't have it.
Yeah.
So we're bringing it there, which is really
It's
exciting.
huge.
With Universal, we're bringing Capitol Studios
No, I saw that in that article.
there, which is crazy.
Cool. So they're saying there was the only one outside of the one
Yes.
here in town.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it will be, quasi shaped like
Nice.
the one here.
Nice.
Yeah. Nice.
Classic.
Yeah.
But like super modern.
Right.
New take on it.
New take on it.
UAE take on it.
UAE take on it.
Yeah.
Super swanky. It's gonna be it'll be bigger than Abbey Road.
Crazy.
So full orchestra, big room.
New soundstage
Yeah,
for the movies.
Yeah. So that's really exciting. There'll be an academy as well. Probably the Abbey Road Academy.
Wild.
And we're going to make the first A-pop super pop group.
It's fucking awesome.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's
Pioneering.
It's just the soup. It's the really futuristic over there from what I've seen.
Yes,
like I mean,
it is.
I
It is.
what little I know about it, but then isn't it Saudi Arabia that's building the big 8-mile long multi-billion dollar?
Well, yes, except it's now 4 miles.
Okay, all right, yeah,
Right.
But
They
it's
lofty
a
goals.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
What's it called?
yeah,
What do they
yeah.
call it? What do they call that?
The line.
The line.
Yes.
Yeah, where it's just fully encapsulated in the desert, just like
Yes.
community, everything you need.
Yes,
Wild.
except I'll say this, and I not to downplay or say anything negative about anybody.
Right.
But the UAE is super progressive, super accepting, super open. When I visited the Abrahamic houses and I'm standing there in front of a church, a mosque, and a synagogue, and I see Arabic, English, and Hebrew, I'm like, wow,
Cool.
this
Yeah.
place is open. And I'm like, I never thought that I would see, first of all, I never thought that I would see, Hebrew writing in an Arabic country.
Wow.
At least not
Yeah.
with over
Yeah,
it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Full juxtaposition of cultures.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, from a creative and somebody with the name Ali and a, Russian Jew as a mother, I'm juxtaposition,
Yeah.
right? And so,
New York melting pot child.
right.
Yeah.
When I landed the first time in Dubai, I was like, oh my God, I'm home.
Wow.
And so when I go there, I feel like, wow, this is really the future. The Emiratis are, they got it right. And when
Seems like it.
when you sort of dive deep into Dubai and the UAE, the critics, even Middle Eastern critics, are kind of like, wow, everybody needs to sort of follow the UAE and how they're doing it, because they really are doing it the right way, from their openness and the way that they're inviting, multicultural, they're not, they're not, Emirati.
Sure.
They see the value in the
yes,
in
yes.
the integration.
Kind of like what America was founded on, but we're kind of just like
Yes.
They're taking up the reins.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, if you think about it, right? It's the UAE, United Arab. There's 7 states.
Yep.
Right, and it makes up it's like the United States, the United Arab Emirates, right? So it's like they've got this multicultural states. The Emiratis only make up 10% of the states. There are Brits, there's Pakistanis, there's Indians,
Yep.
there's people from the U.S., there's Russians, there's there's so many cultures there. It's so multicultural,
love
and that's how they want it to be.
Yeah.
And
Good.
so it's for me. That's where I want to do business.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so it's incredibly exciting.
Tons of opportunity.
It's incredible.
Yeah, that's
It's really
amazing.
incredible. I mean, I can't wait for you guys to come.
I
Can't wait.
can't wait for us to come.
It's incredible. It's
Yeah.
incredible. And I can tell you that these types of relationships, like the relationship we have, Benny, these are the types of relationships like I'm bringing you there.
Let's go.
You know what I mean? Like
Bronchosaurus, the practice
yes,
collab.
yes.
Let's go.
These are the relationships that are going to be the progress and the change that they need.
For sure.
To elevate the music culture and the ecosystem over there, and bring it to another level. And when you come over there, you're going to be like, wow, they really got it right. Because what they did when they started modernizing, they took New York, London, Paris, they looked all around the world and they said, what did they get right and what did they get wrong?
Yeah.
And let's enhance what they got right and let's fix what they got wrong.
100%.
So,
That's amazing.
So for the next time, we have a lot to talk about.
Yeah,
but-
yeah. I mean, we could go hours.
Yeah,
but this is a good
You have to let us
introduction.
know next month when you're here.
Yeah,
to
100%.
Ollie D.
100%. I love you, Ben.
Love you, bro.
Thank you so
Thank you for
much.
coming
Yeah.
on. This has been a long time coming, and
Yay.
we got another one coming
I'm
soon.
sorry I was late.
Don't stress it. Don't stress it. We got more.
Good.
Thanks, everybody.
Yay.
Ben and Bren Show. See you next time.